Okay, we're recording. So yesterday was a really, really great talk. It was kind of random. I just found like a random video. Who's muffin time? That is hilarious. That
That's
is the
me. That's
best.
Nicole. I'm here.
Oh, I love that. I need to change my name to something funny when I jump on. You guys think funny. Is that my sister?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
Sorry, I was
Yeah,
trying to
how
figure
did I
this out.
know?
Oh,
I love you, Nicole.
surprise! Oh,
Look, you're in San Francisco. Wow,
thanks
I
to
didn't
my
know.
kids. That'd be my children.
Gotta love kids, right?
Grandkids.
Oh goodness. So yesterday was really cool. Yesterday, I'm gonna go ahead and mute you guys just so the sound doesn't glitch in and out. But we talked about financial mindset and how you don't have to be like, you don't actually have to have money in your bank account to feel rich in life. That's like what I think the bottom line of it was, is that your financial status has everything to do with how you think about money, what you think about money, and what your thought is of being poor and rich. And it was just a really, really cool warrior hour, I thought. And I think we kind of like worked through some stuff. I know I did, even like I was talking to my mom and my mom was talking back, and we kind of like discussed it a little bit. And it was just a really cool meeting. So if you get a chance, go back and check out the recording. I'm not going to go back over like everything we talked about, but I did just post it in the Warrior Women Challenge group. It's in there. So make sure you pop in there and just check it out. I think it's worth listening to. Yeah, I just think it was a really good, I actually think that we're probably going to do some more work on it, just because I realized how much I needed it, of just the way we look at money, you guys, can change our whole lives, I think. I think that the way that we think of money is almost like it's evil, you know? Like we think of money as evil, as like, I can't do something because I don't have the money for it. And basically what we learned yesterday, and I'm just gonna go over this one little part, you guys, but saying you don't have money for something is an escape. It's an escape to not have to work hard for it. Okay. So saying something like when your son, you know, or say you like, oh, we don't have the money for that. Oh, we can't buy that. We don't have the money for that. That's an escape mindset. You're actually escaping a responsibility. And so it's kind of like, it was really interesting to kind of think of it like that, as like, rather than saying, we don't have the money for that, why don't you say, how can I get the money for that? How can I find the money for that? How can I work a little harder, work a little faster, work a little whatever, more, in order to get the money for that? Because just simply saying, oh, I don't have the money for that, that's like an excuse, and it's a reason to escape. And so I thought that was really interesting, and I think you have to watch the whole video that we watched in order to really understand what he was talking about with that. And so that's why I think the warrior hour is really important, because you'll get to see the video we watched, but you'll also get to see us discuss it afterwards. And I think the discussion we had afterwards was like really eye-opening when it comes to how we think about money and how we were designed to think about money as well. Almost like as a generational thing. Like, it's not my parents' fault I think about money the way that I do, but I tend to think about money the way that they did, right? And money was either really good or really bad. It was like we either had money or we didn't, and it controlled our emotions as well. I was kind of talking about how my dad, you know, was really happy when he had a lot of money, and you could tell when he didn't have any money, and it was a struggle, and it was either we're really good or really bad, and it was back and forth. And so we were kind of watching this video on how to not allow money to control our emotions, and how our mindset can control whether we have money or not. We are who we are. And so I just thought it was really interesting. And so I definitely want to delve into it more, because it exposed a lot of my own thoughts You know, a lot of my own thoughts that I have about money where I was like, ooh, I totally think that, or I totally say that. Oh my gosh, how backwards is that? Once it was exposed to me, but I didn't know it until it was brought to my attention and until we discussed it even. So please go back and watch it, or I will at least send you the video that we watched yesterday about the financial, and it was like a quick, like 10-minute video, but it exposed so much, like so quickly. I was like, dagger to my heart about how I think about money, because I realized it's so backwards. But you guys, the good thing is, once you're exposed to it, you have this choice. Okay, so once you're exposed to information that you go, oof, I have or have not been doing that, you have this choice to continue doing what you've always been doing, or to change and do something different, right? So you have this information that's been given to you and have this moment to decide, okay, I'm going to ignore this information and I'm going to continue doing what I've been doing, or I'm going to take this information and I'm going to run with it and I'm going to start moving in this direction. And that's what I feel like we're doing here at Warrior Hour. It's like, you're going to get all this information. Whether you choose to walk away from this meeting and use it, that's up to you. Okay? And so it's really important that when you're writing notes down, or you're taking notes, or you're starting to like understand things, you guys, it's so important to take what we're learning here and apply it to like life, to really use it, to really try and say, okay, you know, I'm learning this new way of financial status. So I'm really going to start switching my mindset about the way I think about finances. And you have to really, it's going to take time. Like, the things that you're learning here are going to take time to apply in life, okay? Especially when you're sitting here working every day, all day, you know, working on your mindset, working on your body, working on your health, working on your nutrition. It can seem overwhelming, right? But my thought is, what else do you have to do? What else do we have to do in our lives? You know, why, if you're going to put max effort, why not put max effort on yourself? And why not it be in every aspect of your life that you could possibly get better in? You know, for me, it's like, yes, my nutrition wanted to get better. Yes, I wanted to get healthier. Yes, I wanted to get abs. And then it came down to, man, I could really use some mindset shifts on how I think of relationships, or how I think of myself as a mom. And now I'm like, holy crap, I didn't even realize I had issues in the way I think about money. I didn't even know I had issues in the way that I viewed my parents with their money. That was something that I opened up my eyes yesterday too. I didn't even realize certain mindsets that my parents had that have either rubbed off on me in good ways or in bad ways, you know? And so once that's exposed to you, you're kind of like, ugh. I either have this moment where I can accept it and continue down this path, or I can change, right? And so my thought is, we probably should change. Because I think about money as like, it for the longest time, money controlled my emotions. If we had money, we were doing really well. If we didn't have money, then I'm frustrated and angry, and you probably knew. I got that from my dad. My dad was like that. Hey, no. Whoa. Okay, you need to put those down. And so it's exposing, you guys. And sometimes it's going to be frustrating when something is exposed of your life, right? Like, especially when you're realizing things yourself, like, ooh, I need to work on that. It's okay. It's totally fine if you need to work on things. That's what we're here for. Okay? So don't beat yourself up. I know I was kind of like talking to Mike yesterday, like after we got off the call, we were continuing to talk about finances, and I was telling him, you know, the stories that we were kind of talking about yesterday. And I started to like turmoil in my head, you know, I was like, man, like, and then I was like, wait a minute. I just found out like literally 15 minutes ago that I might have a little bit of an issue. Let's not attack myself on it as well, right? Like, I just found out that maybe I thought about something for the last 15 years the wrong way, but that doesn't mean I have to sit and beat myself up on it, right? Like, so there's gonna be things that you learn here that you're gonna realize, you're gonna get off the call and you're like, oh my gosh, like, how did I ever live my life knowing or doing that thing? And now that it's exposed, I feel a little lost, or I kind of feel a little down, right? There's going to be some times that like you're going to feel a little down after you're working through something, because it's going to start exposing that you may need to work on some stuff, which can be kind of hard for some of us to accept. I know it's hard for me to expose things that I need to work on. I have a very big pride, I have a very big ego, and sometimes that's really hard to let down so I can work through things. And so I'm just letting you guys know, sometimes that may happen to you too. You may learn something, realize you have an issue, and it's going to be kind of hard to work through it because of our own ego and pride, right? Because we're like, this is how I've always been. Well, this is the way my parents did it. You know, we have thoughts like that come into our heads. And sometimes we just have to push those aside and say, Jen, let your ego and pride down for a second. And how could you work through this? How could you continue to work through this? Because it's obviously an issue, or your pride wouldn't have rose up like that. Your ego wouldn't have boasted its chest like that if it wasn't an issue. Okay. And I'm just going through this because after I got off the call, I had some like little pride issues after I got off the call about finances and stuff. And I was like, wait a minute. Mom, this is an obvious issue. This is obviously something I need. Hey, just give me 1 second. No, you cannot go outside. Close the door. Hold on 1 second, guys.
Another thing too that from yesterday that I picked up is where I came from in my past, being raised, and then where my husband has come from and how he was raised. And it's hard to, you have to talk to your spouses, and you have to talk to your boyfriend, your fiance. You have to talk to them and see where they come from with, you know, financially, so you both know how to help one another, you know, when it does come to bills or finances. So that's something I picked up from yesterday, is just sitting down with your spouse and realizing where they come from and their mindset with money.
Yes, that was another thing we talked about a lot about, like our spouses having different mindsets about money and not even knowing it. Like literally not even realizing that we had different thoughts on money, but just because of our backgrounds, you know, where we come from, and having that discussion is so important. It's hard as well. Okay. Super hard. Mike and I come from totally different backgrounds when it comes to money, when it comes to lifestyles. We come from totally different backgrounds, and that was really hard for us at first, because I was like, why are you out there spending money? And he's like, why are you holding on to that money? It is hot, get it out of our hands, let's spend it. And I was like, no, we need to save it. And it took us a long time to find like an even, and then even more, just listening to that video, I realized how much more work we even still have, you know, or how much more work we can still do. Not even like it's a bad thing, you guys. It's a good thing that you're continuing to work with your partner, right? Like, think about that. Like, just because you're married and you've been together for so many years and you're just like, cool, this is it. This is what we're doing. Let's just plateau. Like, I just don't think that's not an option for me. Like for me, I'm like, Mike, we could be better. We could be better. We could work even better together. We could have even more in our savings. We could have this, you know what I mean? Like for me, it's like, we could always be better. We could always do better. We could always work more. We could always kind of find some way or something to continue working on. And I think you got to keep having that mindset, you know? It's just like health, you guys. It's just like, you get through a program, you don't just stop, you know? You don't marry your husband and just stop and be like, all right, cool, we did that. You know, no, you move on to the next step. You move on to the newlywed phase, move on to the honeymoon phase, move into the we're married now phase. And then after that, you're like, wow, I've been married for 5 years. Let's continue working at this. What else can we do? How can we spruce this up? You know, it's the same thing. And you have to work in every area of your life to continue moving forward. And I realized that I've been moving forward in a lot of other areas, and my financial mindset is still way back here. And that is what's been keeping all of this other stuff from not moving faster forward, is because I'm dragging a ball and chain with finances that I didn't even realize I was kind of like ignoring. And so that's the thing, you guys, like if you're working out physically all the time, but you don't do any work mentally, you're only going to get so far, right? That's like when people have like lost like, 100 pounds or something like that. And then they see, and they look in the mirror and they're like, oh, I'm still fat. That's mindset. That's like in your head. That's not your physical appearance. That's a mindset, right? Like they have a body dysmorphia. They don't see what we see. They don't see all the progress they made. They only see what they still have to go. The mindset. And so they're only going to be able to get so far, right? Until they start changing their mindset, they're only going to get so far. Same thing here. So I work, my mindset with my health or food or, all this stuff. But yet I've been dragging this part of me I've been ignoring, which is finances, which is saving money and creating, substantial long-term income and stuff like that. I've been just like surviving instead of thriving in finances in this specific little sliver of an area, but now that it's exposed, I can start honing in on it. And same thing for you guys. There might be something that's going to get exposed. It's okay. Hone in on it. For me, I always think of it as like, make it your best quality. If that's your worst quality, start working on it until it's your best quality. For me, I'm like, I'm going to work on finances until it's my best quality. So yeah, it's just interesting. I think it's something that we are going to delve more into. So maybe kind of be ready for that talk. It's not something I want to do, just FYI, but I know I need to do it. Okay. It's something I have been avoiding for years, probably. But it's something that I know I need to start delving into in order to take my life to the next level. And we all have those things, right? We all know that we have those things that are like, man, if I could just get rid of this, or if I could just do this, I could probably actually move my life forward. For me, finances. For you, might be something completely different. But everybody has their thing. If they could just get better at this, it could move their whole life forward. But we got to be willing to do the work. We got to be willing to put in the work, you guys. It's not going to be easy. Get used to that right now. Just put that in your head. Like, it's not going to be easy. This is going to be freaking hard. It's going to be hard to save money and not want to spend my money on Amazon. But I'm getting my finances in check, and I've got a goal, and I've got I'll have goals and dreams, and that's going to line up so much more with what I actually want than ordering some leggings off Amazon, right? Instant gratification versus long-term gratification. But that goal up here has to be enough to pull me through. So remember that when you're setting your dreams and goals, they have to be big enough to pull you through instant gratification, because we want everything now, right? But our dreams and goals aren't about right now. Our dreams and goals are about the future me, the 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 10 years from now. I want to be doing this, right? We all set those dreams and goals for these like huge things, but in the future. But if we're always worried about instant gratification, those dreams and goals are never going to happen, right? And then we're just sitting and staring at them, and then we're beating ourselves up because we're looking at them and we're not achieving them, when in reality, it's all because we're choosing instant gratification over long term. Okay. And I think finances for me has a lot to do with that. I love instant gratification. I just I'm like, oh, I can order things. Saving it in my savings is not exciting to me. But now if I'm saving towards something that I really want, then maybe I can actually get myself to save it instead of spending it. So that's my goal. That's my plan. Hopefully you guys are starting to hone in on some things for yourselves too, of like, man, that's an area I really need to work on. You know, this is an area for my dreams and goals to really happen. This is something I really need to just buckle down on. And I figure the more serious I get, the easier to be for you guys to get as well. Because I'm always like, lead from the front, you know, like lead by example. And I know that if I'm doing the work and I'm in it and I'm like, I'm working through it, I'm saving money, guys, look at my finances, look, I got this paid, and then, you know, if I share that with you guys and I'm like, exposing myself or allowing myself to just be seen and saying, this is what I'm doing and I want the same thing for you guys might be more apt to actually doing it, because you're like, okay, well, Jenny's in it, she's doing it, I see her, you know. And so that's sometimes, you guys, too, about like coaching, or you got to be willing to walk the walk. You know, you got to be willing to say, okay, if I want other people to be able to do this, I got to be able to do it myself. If I want other people to stay consistent, if I want other people to show up at Warrior Hour, if I want other people to show up in my challenge group or post, I got to do it first. You know, same thing with our relationships, you guys. If you want your husband to be doing certain things, you got to be doing them first. Absolutely. You can't expect anybody to do anything that you're not willing to do yourself. Right? Like, think about that, you know, like how many times we say, like, well, if he just did this, we would be fine. Okay, so what do you need to do in order for him to do that? Like, what can you change first in order for him to want to do that? Where can you change first? Whenever you want somebody else to do something, I want you to think, what can I do to help them do that? Okay, what can I change or make an effort towards to help them choose that? But it starts with us. Okay, the changes always start with us. The moment you want to say you need to do this or you need to do that, I want you to stop yourself and say, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to get them to do that first? Okay, not, well, if he does this, then I'll do that. No. What can I do first to get them to do that? Okay, it's what can I do first? Okay, so and I know that's like a tricky situation to kind of get your brain to start doing, but the moment you start acting first rather than wanting other people to change or do something, you're going to actually see that change is going to come around anyway. But because you're changing, not because you're wanting them to change, because you in yourself are changing or making an effort. You know, maybe you don't have to necessarily change, but maybe you need to make an effort in this area if you want them to make an effort in this area. Think you first, okay? Oh, here, sometimes it's easier said than done. Everything is easier said than done. Everything is. I could sit here and talk all freaking day about saving money, and then I'll get off here and spend it in Amazon, right? Like, everything is so easy to say. But, you know, maybe I need to delete my Amazon app off of my phone. I don't know. Like, you know, that may be a little bit harder to do, but maybe that's what you need to do. It's the actions, you guys, that are going to be hard. I could sit here and talk your guys' heads off about all the things you should be doing, you know, but the actions of going out and actually doing them, that's hard shit, for sure. I would never sugarcoat that. And I will never say that anything that I've ever done has been easy, but it's always been worth it. Always. That's what it always comes back down to, is like, it's freaking worth it. My life right now, the way it is compared to 4 years ago, holy hell, it's been worth it. Because we have done so much hard work to get where we are. And it's been worth every freaking second of it. When I was in it, did it suck? Oh, yes, you bet. You bet. Realizing how much I needed to change was not fun to realize. Realizing I still need to change is not fun to admit, to know, to to say out loud to anything. It's not fun, you know, but it's worth it to be able to change, to be able to actually have what I want and hope and dream for. Absolutely, it's worth it. Okay? Just remember that. It's not going to be easy. It'll be easy to write it down. It'll be easy to just pop around and be like, oh, I'm going to start saving money. Yeah. It's cool to be able to say that. But when it comes down to it, of when it's just me and my phone and Amazon and no one's looking, am I going to press buy or not? That's up to me. That's me versus me at that point, you know? And I have to be stronger than my instant gratification. And the more you choose to not, the easier it becomes too. That's the thing, is the more that I probably don't buy, the more I say, well, does this align with my goal that I'm trying to get to? The more I check in with that, and the more I say no, the easier it's probably going to become, right? It's just getting through that initial hump, that initial thought of like, oh, I'm just saying no to myself. I'm just saying no. But as I start saying no to buying things, it gets easier, right? It gets a little bit easier as it's like running or working out. You guys, that's what I love about health. That's why I've always loved being a Beachbody coach, is that's what it comes back to. When you first start 21 Day Fix, never worked out a day in your life, you worked out 21 Day Fix, couldn't even sit on the toilet afterwards, right? Like you're like, holy crap, I'm so sore, my muscles hurt everywhere, what is this thing that I signed up for? You're like freaking out, and then all of a sudden, day 18, 19, you're pressing play, you're like, you're sweating, you feel amazing, you're not super sore, you're not even thinking of that. But as you continue to work out every day, you realize it gets a little bit easier. Doesn't mean, or you at least crave it a little bit more. Or you're like, yeah, I'm gonna beast this workout today. Like you kind of start to crave it a little bit more, right? But in the beginning, it was super hard. That's why I love working out, because I can relate working out to anything else in your life. It's like a giant metaphor for your life. Starting a program is super hard. Finishing a program is one of the most exhilarating things. It's super cool to be like, boom, stamp of approval on that program. I completely finished it, start to front. You feel so empowered and so proud of yourself for sticking to a program. You would have never known that on day one, how proud you would feel on day 30, you know, but you did once you got there. And it's the same thing for life, you guys. It's like, yes, instant gratification with our finances could be awesome, but I'm going to feel a lot better when I get that houseboat, right? Houseboat, leggings, like, right? Like, let's see which one I would like more after 4 years, you know? Ooh, these leggings that I probably threw away after 4 years because I got new ones, or this houseboat that I'm living in. You just got to choose instant gratification over long-term goals. Okay. I know I just spent 30 minutes talking about yesterday when I said I wouldn't, but I still think it's super important, you guys. There was just a lot that it made my wheels turn yesterday when we were just talking about finances and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've got so much work to do in that area. And so it's in the forefront of my mind, and I'm like working through it myself. So just know I'm probably going to talk about it a lot, but I think it's something that a lot of us need to talk about too. I really do. I think that it's something that it's going to either like make or break you, you know, like finances are almost like the underlying thing of like, what's bringing you closer or further from your goals. And a lot of people will say, well, I don't have the money to do that. Okay, how can you find the money? How can we find the money? Are you escaping from your responsibilities and goals, or are you stepping up to the challenge? That's how I feel about it. I'd rather step up to the challenge of achieving my dreams and goals, because I know in the long run, I'm going to be so much more happy about that. Right? All right. that's enough of that. Let's see what Rachel Hollis has for us today. It is a longer video, so I figured we would just listen to like the first segment of it today, and then we'll finish it tomorrow. But I've got it pulled up, so let me screen share for you guys. By the way, I see all your guys' lipstick. You guys look beautiful. Oh, this is the calendar I'm working on. Working on it. I'm gonna have it up today though. Okay. We're ready? Make sure you get a pencil and paper. And let me make sure I plug in.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Welcome to our next installment of the Next 90 Days course. This week, we are talking about what is essential. We are talking about what really matters, getting down to the basics of how we parse through what really matters, and maybe more importantly, what does not matter, what really is essential, and maybe more importantly, what is not essential at all. So, in this course, man, I am excited to just help walk through a little bit of a framework of how we've thought about trying to understand what matters and what doesn't, and hopefully arm you with some tools on how you can get a handle on some of the basics, and in having a better handle, reduce some of your anxiety, reduce some of your stress, draw more of your focus to the things that actually matter, and let go, be free from the things that do not actually matter. When we started this quarantine, I was just starting to write on my next book. And one of the very first things that I wrote in this book is a line that now I've seen circulating the internet, which is very bizarre, but it is a thing I want to pose to you. In this rush to return to normal, let's use this time to consider which parts of normal are worth rushing back to. Right, we have been given a gift inside of this time, this abnormal, this weird upside down quarantine, to do an inventory on what actually matters in our life. And as we're able to think about what we used to have, what we used to care about, what we used to afford value to, what we used to think were absolute musts in our life, now we get to actually ask the question, what of those things do we really need rather than just want? What do we really want to stay connected to when whatever this new version of normal ends up revealing itself, when this time is done? We have this opportunity now to redefine for ourselves what is essential, what really matters. So as we rush to get back to it, let's use this time to do just that. I mean, if you think about it, if we go back to things being exactly as they were, we will have missed the opportunity to take some good from this bad. This time that we have here, right, this is a gift that nobody asked for, and yet here we are, we're sitting in it, and it has, in it being this time to consider these things, given us the opportunity to do some housekeeping in where we focus, in who we spend time with, in what we consume, how much we consume, how we work, what matters most, and more importantly, what doesn't, right? So let's take some notes in this time. We're getting a lesson that we cannot forget when things do return to whatever normal ends up looking like on the other side. So when it comes to essentials, when it comes to thinking about what really matters, I've always tried to keep a list of the things that have the most value to me, that are the most essential in my life. Call them personal values. I've called the things in my work life my operating principles, but I've tried to keep a running list. What are the things that are essential to me? Because in the way that we talked about it in the habits conversation, if I can know the things that are most important in my life, then I can engineer and organize my life in a way that helps make those things a reality, or at least helps create the greatest chance for those things to show up in my life. And so the things that I, coming into quarantine, had on my list were these 5 things. Really staying focused on how I feel about myself when I'm by myself, right? How you feel about yourself when you're by yourself is one of the most important things in the entire world. And that exercise of trying to create coherence between who you'd hope to be and who you know yourself to be when you're by yourself, that is, man, the thing that keeps my drum beating, that keeps me motivated on the days I don't feel like it, is the thing that has me trying to close that gap between who I know I can be and who I show up as on an every single day basis. The return that I get in investing in my health, right? Not just my physical health, but my emotional, my mental, my spiritual, and my physical health. How I get a return investing in my health is something that is essential in my life. Keeping my relationship with my wife and my kids first. Right? Like maintaining that no matter what happens in our business, no matter what happens outside of the walls of this house, no matter what happens with other people or anything, that the number one most important thing in our life, in my life, is the way that I preserve and maintain the relationship with my wife and the way that I show up well and love well on my kids, with my kids. And so that as a priority, man, that's one of my big five. The fourth one, and I'm going to talk about in a second how some of these had to change. But the fourth one coming into quarantine was manufacturing lifelong memories from world-class experiences, which in these times sounds crazy, right? But coming into quarantine, that was one of my things. I was like, you know what? I would rather save the money and a couple of times a year have really cool experiences that will, in the words of my buddy Jesse Itzler, build my life resume than spend frivolously or ridiculously on stuff that doesn't really matter and doesn't leave lasting memories. I want to have lifelong memories from a handful of experiences that are just going to absolutely stick and stay in my memory banks. And then the last one, my fifth thing, building a legacy of impact. So my five things as I was coming into quarantine: how I feel about myself when I'm by myself, the return that I'm getting from investing in my health, how I am keeping my relationship with my wife and kids first, manufacturing lifelong memories from world-class experiences, and building a life of legacy, or building a legacy that is built on impact. Right? Building a legacy of impact. And so now that we're in quarantine, I've had to do a little bit of a look at how these things that were essential in my life, those were the essential things in my life, had to tweak, had to be fluid, had to be thought of in a little bit of a different context, because the times, of course, are different. And so how I feel about myself when I'm by myself, man, this is still such an important thing, because this is where my confidence comes from. It's where my pride comes from, my momentum, my motivation, right? The congruence between who I am and who I want to be every single day is something that I stay focused on, and that is as relevant and as important inside of this quarantine as it was prior to coming into it. The return I get from investing in my health, even more important, right? Even more important than it was when we first came into quarantine. Maintaining my health is the thing that allows me to be available to love on the people that I care about the most. It helps me with that congruence I'm looking for, to feel the way I'd like when I'm by myself. Keeping my relationship with my wife and family first, right? The thing that I've had to do inside of this quarantine, in this essential part of my life, is understand that their needs are changing every single day. And the way that their needs change means that the way that I show up to help pour into and serve their needs has to change as well. And so asking a lot of questions, regularly being in dialogue about how their changing and evolving needs can be met by my strengths, is a thing that has to be fluid. And really the frequency of those conversations increased in the midst of these times. Manufacturing lifelong memories from world-class experiences, I have completely changed. Right? That was one that existed, and now in this time, one of my five essentials is now completely different. And what I am asking in real time is, how can I manufacture the mindset and discipline to thrive in this quarantine? Right? How can I manufacture the discipline and mindset to thrive in this quarantine? Part of it is, look at me. I am like physically changing myself into a person that when I see myself in the mirror, looks like they would thrive inside of quarantine. I've now grown out this facial hair, and I'm cutting my own hair. I'm physically as strong as I've ever been. I am, the idea of an avatar. Have you heard this idea of an avatar? Like an avatar avatar is the character that you might select in a video game, the character that you might identify inside of a book or a story, the way that you might describe your ideal customer. That's the idea of an avatar. It's just a list of attributes that someone of a certain kind would embody. And I have decided that, man, manufacturing the mindset and discipline to thrive inside of this quarantine is a thing that I've got to do. And I am, man, putting it on, including the way that I look, including the way that I am committing myself to feeling a certain way because of how I'm moving my body and drinking my water and all the rest. And the last one, the idea of building a legacy of impact. I am just asking how impact can be specific to these times, right? So our attempts with the digital conference, our rushing the app, the way that I'm writing in this next book is now being done through this new lens, through the lens of what people who are experiencing the events of these times may in fact need in terms of the kind of value I can deliver. And so I want to stop real quick. I want to ask you to do a quick exercise. I want you to write down the 5 things, 5 general ideas that you believe to be the most essential to your life right now. You can think of them as your personal values. You can think of them as your operating principles. It doesn't matter what you call them. But the first thing that I would argue you have to do in trying to pursue focusing on the things that are essential is name them. And so I had my list of the 5 essential things that were important to me prior to quarantine. I've now modified just slightly those 5 things to apply specifically to the times that we find ourselves in right now. So do yourself this. Take a minute, write down on your PDF the 5 things that are essential in your life.
Okay, let's do this. This is how we'll end today, or we'll do this, and then we'll finish the rest of the video maybe tomorrow or something. I feel like that's a good place to kind of start or stop because I kind of like to talk to you guys about it because I have no idea what to write down. Does anybody else feel that way? Like they like heard that and I was like,
No clue.
yeah.
No clue.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's like maybe talk through it and see if we can muster up some ideas. Okay, so what are the most essential things? I was kind of confused. So like, I mean, food would be an essential thing that I would think that we would need, but I feel like that's not what he's looking for. I feel like that's like, he's not looking for, I don't know. I was kind of confused by that. And I thought maybe you guys could kind of help me.
So I feel like that would fall under like investing in your health. So all of the work that we put in with Beachbody, all of the warrior hours that we're doing, investing in our mind, like that's all working towards our health. So like that's on the top of the list for me because of my Crohn's disease. Yeah, absolutely. The personal development that we're doing, that health aspect, taking care of us so we can be better for our family.
Like honestly, like most essential is just like being present for like my warrior women team, like because that to me is like my Beachbody umbrella. Like that's like being here for warrior hour, hitting my workouts, being present in the challenge groups. Like for me is like leading my
essentials.
Yeah,
So those are your essentials then.
Yeah, like to me is like even just like leading my team, and maybe that could be for you too, like leading your team, or maybe even like leading your family, you know. I think that's like really like maybe your team is your family, you know. I think okay, so return for your health, right? Like so that's return for your health. And even like your wife and kids relationship, or he said wife and kids, that's what I wrote. But you know, husband and kids relationship. I'm gonna read through what I wrote down. So how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself. I think that's like, I love the way he said that because I always say like, who are you when no one's looking? That's one of my favorite things to say is like, do you enjoy your own time? Who are you when no one's looking? Are you still choosing the salad over the burger when you're by yourself? Like, are your goals still happening when no one is looking at you? So I kind of like that he even pointed that out because I like, that's like one of my main things that I always love. Keep in the back of my head. How can I thrive in quarantine and Then I have build life resume. I actually like that. Like building your life resume that has nothing to do with work. Like it has nothing to do with you bragging about how long you've worked for somebody. It has everything to do with your life experiences. Like what is your life experience resume already? You know, like can you think of like some really cool things that you've done or cool things that you've seen or cool things that you took place in? Like one that just like pops in the forefront of my mind. I was in Florida for the last shuttle launch in 2011 when they did the last shuttle launch in Florida. I got to watch it. That's like a really cool thing to me. It's always something that I'll just remember. Like I was present for the last NASA shuttle launch. The last time they sent people from Florida. Now their NASA is still like running and stuff like that, but they had actually shut down like their launch process. But I was there for that. That's kind of like on my life resume. That's always something that I just kind of have in. I'm like, that's really cool that I was there for that. You know, like what is it really cool that you're like, I was there for that. I saw that. I was present for that. I experienced that. Maybe it's not like something worldly or maybe it's not something newsly, but it was cool to you to experience. I love the thought of having like a life resume rather than a work resume. Like to me, like I actually like, I don't know, I just want to like delete my massage therapist resume and just create like a life resume. Be like, boom, this is where I was, this is what I've done. Like to me, I just think that would be so much cooler to read somebody's life resume and hire them based off of that than I would like their work resume. But I'm also in the world of like coaching and like how, you know what I mean? So like to me, it would make more sense to look at your life resume than it would your business resume to like be like, hey, are you good to be a coach? You know, I think your life resume would have to be, you'd have to have something on your life resume, I think, in order to really be a good coach. I think you've got to have some stuff on your life resume. You've got to experience some shit before you can help other people experience shit. You know, I've experienced some stuff. Now, I don't know compared to you, you know, maybe you've experienced more to me, maybe I've experienced more to you. That's totally fine. It's not a competition, right? It's not who's experienced more. It's just, have you experienced some stuff? So I like that. I think that's pretty cool to even be able to make a list of like, yeah, I was here for this. I thought this was pretty cool. This is pretty cool. I was there for that too. Like, you know, just little things. You just never know. Legacy. Okay, so a legacy of impact. I thought that was pretty interesting too. And I think that our life experiences can really determine whether we have a legacy of impact. Because if you're experiencing things and you're present, I think naturally you're going to build a legacy. But if you're playing it safe, if you're playing small, if you're staying in your own little bubble all the time and knowing what to say and do all the time because you're in your little comfort zone, you're not going to build a life resume, right? You're not going to leave a legacy. If you were to be like, yeah, she was great. She was a good girl. She just lived and died and that's about it, you know? Or do you want people to be like, oh my God, that girl, dude, she was here and she did all of this stuff all the time. Like, if I passed away, I hope at least I'd be like, that girl lived a full life. Like if I like walked out of here and for some reason didn't wake up tomorrow, you guys would at least be like, man, that girl, she lived to the fullest though. You know, she was creating a legacy no matter what. If it didn't happen, she was creating it. We're going to remember her name. You know, think about it. Are people going to remember your name when you're not here anymore? Just something to think about. And how can we focus on these little things that he's even kind of giving us to help create a name for ourselves, to create that legacy, to where somebody says, when your name is brought up, they say, oh man, that girl, she's always up to something, you know? That's how I want to be. Like, I want people when they're like, like, oh, where's Jenny now? Is she in Texas or is she in Florida? Where is she now? Like, I don't want people to even know. Like, I want people to always be like guessing, like, what is she doing next? What, she's living on a boat now? Like, you know, like, I love that aspect. That to me is my legacy. And the more I feed into it, the more I create my goals and dreams around it, the more it even creates itself. But you got to be willing to kind of step out of that comfort zone and kind of go for something, you know. I'm still have no idea what I'm going to write down for my most essential list. So maybe I need to like reflect on it. Maybe I need to like take some time, maybe rewatch it a little bit and kind of just try to figure out what he wants us to write down. Maybe if I keep watching the video, I don't know. I like literally have no idea what to write down here. I don't know. So I'm going to maybe try and watch it again when I get off. Maybe I'll kind of understand it a little bit more. And you guys, just so you know, this is going to happen. Sometimes you're going to be like, wait, what? What do you want? What am I supposed to be doing? You're not going to get everything all the time. Okay. And that's why, like, I want to tell you guys, like, I have no idea what to really write down. And I want you guys to know, like, I don't always have the answers. I don't always like know exactly what we're supposed to be doing. I don't always know. I'm trying to figure this out right along with you guys. You know, this is the first time I've watched the video too. And so maybe I need to rewatch it again. Maybe I need to rewatch it again tomorrow when I'm in a different headspace. Maybe I'm just not processing it correctly. Maybe I need to continue watching the video and see what he talks about. And then that can spark thoughts in me and be like, oh, that's the kind of answers he wants. And then I can go back and redo it or something. But I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to see what I can do. I don't know. I guess what's most essential to me, it's weird because I keep putting it all under the same one, which is my work. You know, like pouring into you guys and staying on point with you guys and staying on point with my health and Warrior Hour and our challenge group and stuff like that. And even just like my posting. So like, you know, leading from the front in Beachbody is definitely one of my essentials. So I guess I got one on my list. Maybe you do too. Maybe you don't. That's totally fine. But it gives you something to think about or to work on throughout the day or throughout the week. Maybe it doesn't come to you today, you know? Sometimes these things take time. That's kind of what I was even saying in the beginning. Like, you know, it's not like I did a financial video and it exposed a lot. That doesn't mean my finances are fixed today. I have no idea where to start, but it exposed something that I need to work on. It opened a door that said, hey, here's a whole new area you didn't even realize. Now you need to work on this. That doesn't mean I'm going to have a grip on it in the next week or the next month or the next 6 months or the next year. I have no idea how long it's going to take me to get my finances in check. But now that I've been exposed to it, I continue working on it. So I have no idea how long it's going to take me to get my most essential list. But I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to keep asking myself, what's essential? Or maybe when I'm doing something, I'll say, is this essential? Is this absolutely essential right now? Should this be going on my list or should I be doing something else? You know, is this part of my essential? Oh, yeah, this really is something essential. I really do feel like this is part of my everyday. This is important. Oh, I can put that on my list. Or I can analyze, okay, I'm doing something. It's not serving me any purpose. I can't guarantee it's essential. Why am I doing it right now? You know? And so it gives you that time to kind of analyze. So your essential list may not come on a pause button, you know? Like for me, pause the video and think of your 5 essentials. I'm sorry, I need more time than that, you know? But there's no time limit. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no like, hey, you didn't think of your 5 essential things in 5 minutes. You know, it's not like that for some of us. Now, maybe some of us can think of it really quickly. For me, I'm like, ooh, okay, I got an area I need to work in. I got an area that I can start going off of. I actually love it when I can find something that I actually need to work in at this point, because I have done so much personal development. I have listened to so many motivational videos. At this point, I'm like, what else could I learn sometimes? You know, sometimes I'm like, oh, I've heard this video. Oh, I've heard this talk, you know? And Wait, let me see. What do you need to have a good day? Yes, I love that. Ask it like, okay, so yeah, you ask yourself, like, what do I need to have a good day? So like for your essentials, what do you need to have a good day? What would have to happen today to have a good day? What would need to happen today? Is that making sense? So like what would need to happen today in order to have a good day? Write those 5 things down. I would have to hit my workout. I probably have to
feel empowered too.
Yes. How can I feel empowered? Yeah, I like that. Like what can I do today to make myself feel empowered? What could I do today to have a good day? What is essential today for me to put my stamp of approval before I go to bed? You know? So when you lay your head down on the pillow and you say, man, I hit all those essentials today, or I hit 4 out of the 5, which I'm totally happy about, you know? So kind of maybe find a way to like word it to yourself. I like that. Like what would need to happen today, or what would need to happen this week? Maybe even this week. What would I need to happen this week in order for me to put my stamp of approval on the week? You know, maybe every day isn't always going to include all 5 things. Maybe every day, maybe one day you might have an off day. Maybe you started your period, so you're like, I'm cranky, it ain't happening today. So, okay, back up and look at the week as a whole, you know? Maybe you can look at the week of the whole and be like, you know what? I hit my workout at least 4 of the 7 days. I went grocery shopping. I pretty much stayed on my meal plan. I got, you know what I mean? If you can stay on these essential things throughout the week, boom, stamp of approval. I'm like big on I just like to think of things as like a stamp of approval. I don't know if you guys ever think of things like that. But whenever I'm done with a workout or whenever I'm like done with a day, I'll like ask myself, like, do you put your stamp of approval on that? Like if somebody were to come by and it had a big old Jenny approved, would they be like, wow, she approves good work, you know? Or it'd be like, wow, she really half-assed that and she approved it. You know, that's how I look at it. It's like I have this big old red like stamp and it just goes like, and I just like put it on people's foreheads of like approved, you know. And that's how I think of my life, is like, is this something I approve of? You know, and I think that will help us also create our essential list as well. So just something to think about. I think also, I think as we watch the video, I'm going to press play tomorrow and we'll watch a little bit longer of it. Maybe he can help us. Maybe he'll mention something that will be like, oh, that's a good one. You never know. But I think it's good that we like stopped it and we're forcing ourselves to think instead of filling in the answers of what he gives us. Even it's hard to like not know the answers. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I like to just know things. Like when a teacher calls on me, I always hated it if I didn't like know the answer. Like I always wanted to like know the answer. And this whole like uncertainty, I don't know the answer, is like a terrible place for me to live. I get anxious, I get like anxiety. I just want to figure it out, right? And so for me, it's like not having the answers right here where I can just be like, yep, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, here's mine. It almost brings anxiety to me a little bit, just even thinking that I don't have the answers for it. But it's exposing a part of me that I need to work on. Okay, so sometimes you got to stop. You know, when you're like going through all the motions of what you're so used to doing, you just need to recognize, like, oh, when I don't know all the answers, that's interesting how my anxiety gets lifted. How when I don't know all the P's and Q's and dots and I's and where everything goes, it actually brings a little anxiety in my body. What's that all about? Why do I do that? You know, and you can start analyzing yourself and start kind of like recognizing things instead of shoving it down and shunning it or being like, oh, Jen, just put something down, you need answers, you know, or oh, don't tell them that you don't have answers. I'm more just like, hey, I don't have all the answers. And actually it just kind of like releases me from guilt that I would probably place on myself, you know. When I just admit, hey, I don't have all the answers, I don't know the answer to this, I don't really know the right words to say, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to put in the work to figure it out. Okay, it's gonna be hard, but I'm capable, right? Like you're capable of finding a list. Maybe I just need to step away and think by myself. Maybe I need to journal a little bit. Maybe I need to write a list and then come back to it and reanalyze it and say, is that really what I want? Is that really my essential list? And analyze it. And it may change, just like he even said, like his changed according to coming into quarantine, and then I'm sure they're going to change when we go out of quarantine too. So just because you write something as your essential list doesn't mean it's set in stone forever and ever. It could change. Never know. So kind of an interesting day, I think. It feels almost like we stopped mid-chapter reading and like we just closed a book and we're like, well, what happened? What's the next paragraph? Which is kind of interesting. It feels a little like, for me, it feels a little icky. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't like bring it full circle. I didn't bring it back around and like make this huge like aha moment, but that's okay. Sometimes that happens. Okay. Hey, you look great. Yeah.
Hey, why are your teeth white? Why are your teeth white?
Why are my teeth white? Well, they're supposed to be white, silly.
That one.
Oh, I know. That one's not as white, huh? Thanks for pointing that out.
I like the white one.
You like the white ones? Me too.
Say,
Ah.
I see.
Where are your teeth? You're missing two.
I'm missing 4.
No, just two. Two big ones.
1, 2.
Those are back. You got new ones in there. This kid, he's missing so many teeth. He's got these like half in. These are about to come in. You want to show me your teeth? All right. You're funny, dude. See, those are all coming in. Those look good. All right. You're funny, dude. All right, ladies. So for tomorrow, I think the best thing that we can do is let's work on this essential list. If you need to, log back into the 90-day challenge. Listen to that first part again. I think I'm going to need to personally just to kind of, it took me a second to kind of get into what he was saying. I don't know why it happens every time. This is the second time he's talked, and it's taken me a little bit of time to get used to him. I think it's just because I'm ready for it to be Rachel, and then I'm like, oh, it's Dave today. Okay, switch my gears, switch my mindset from like Rachel. And so I'm going to go back through, maybe like listen to that little segment again. I'm going to come up with I'm going to try to come up with an essential list, and we will come tomorrow and we'll talk about them, and then we'll listen to the second part of the video as well. See if it helps us, see if it creates some discussion. We'll figure it out, you guys. We'll figure it out. Maybe you guys will write down essential lists and I'll be like, oh, that's what I need to do. You know, so that's what I love about us, like kind of working through this and not knowing all the answers. That's good, you guys. It's good that we are hearing things that we don't know the answers to. It's good because it makes you think. Makes you, what? I need to do what? Let me hear that again. It's making my brain work rather than going through autopilot. Okay. Same with last week when we had to write down those dreams and goals. How many days did it take us to write down dreams and goals? Right? Like it took us 2, 3, 4 days. And I still am questioning my list. It's just going to take time sometimes. And this is all, that's why they do just like one little video a week. So we can have the whole week to work through this. You know, and we can always come back and change it. That's the best thing is there's no right or wrong answer here. Okay. And I think sometimes like we always feel like there needs to be a right answer. You know, I don't know if that's like a woman thing or a human thing or whatever, but like I always want to feel like I have the right answers. I always want to feel like I know what I'm talking about, and this is my list, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and they're correct, and boom. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I just like to have the right answers. And so not knowing kind of creates a little bit of uncertainty and anxiety in me, but I'm trying to be more aware of that and say, okay, recognize that, now work through it. Continue to ask yourself, what do you want? What's essential? What's essential? Look around, maybe do some things, maybe take a break from it and come back, right? Like maybe sometimes you just need a break from it. And then you come back and you write down 5 things and you're like, oh, that wasn't so hard. I just needed a break from it. I just was over analyzing it. I do that a lot of times. I over analyze things like crazy until I just have to stop myself, go for a walk, play with Derek, watch a movie, you know, kind of rid my brain of it. And then I can come back and with a fresh mind. And sometimes I will be like, oh my gosh, that was so stupid. I was overthinking that way too much. Let's put these, you know, remember there's no right or wrong answer. Okay. Everybody's is going to be different too. Cool. Okay. I'm going to probably get off here. I'm going to rewatch that and see if I can kind of create with some essential lists. If I don't, I'm going to take a break from it. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to set it to the side and maybe I'll come back tonight or first thing in the morning and just see if I can come up with a list. If I can't, you know what? I'll come to Warrior Hour and we'll keep talking. We'll keep working through it. Maybe we'll listen to some of the video. Maybe it'll spark some lists and I'll have one by Wednesday. I don't know. But you know what? There's no right or wrong. It doesn't matter. Right? Like whether I get a list today or Wednesday, doesn't matter. You know, we just got to give ourselves grace sometimes, you guys. I think we're just so hard on ourselves sometimes. Like, why do we do that? You know, why do we just
with that? I have trouble with that.
Yes, absolutely. I'm like really hard on myself. Like when I don't know all the answers, or I don't have all the things done, or, you know, I feel like, oh, I could have done better there or something. I get really, really hard on myself. But what does that do? That doesn't fix anything. That doesn't help me work harder, you know, makes me have to work from a deeper hole, right? But what if we just said like, hey, you're not perfect. It's totally fine. And we're going to work through this together. Me versus me, you know? We just got to be kinder to ourselves, I think, a lot. We get really down on ourselves. And then, like I said, that's not going to help us produce what we want anyway. So why not say, you know what, Jen, it's okay that you don't know your list. It's okay. Because you're going to figure it out. I believe I will figure it out in my own time. I believe you will figure it out. Do you believe that you will figure it out? Do you believe you deserve to have a most essential list? I think you do. You got to believe that too, though, right? Because we know we have to believe it up here before it ever comes down here on paper, right? It has to be up here, you guys. We have to believe we deserve to create an essential list. We have to believe we deserve dreams and goals before we can ever create dreams and goals, right? Because if not, then we're just like laughing at them. We're like, oh, yeah, sure. Let's go achieve this, Jen. Yeah, right. You know, could you imagine writing your dreams and goals and laughing at yourself as you're writing them down? That seems like super counterproductive, right? You have to actually believe it's something that you can achieve. That doesn't mean that we write, you know, and that doesn't mean that I want you to dumb down your dreams to meet you where you're at. I want you to bring your mental status to say, I am able to achieve that. I can go for that dream. Not, oh, I better keep my dreams and goals small so I can achieve them. I want you to say, my dreams and goals are crazy, but I'm capable of achieving them. Right? Because you are. But you have to believe that. Whatever your dream is, whatever your goal is, if you want to be on the cover of Oprah magazine and that's your goal, I believe you're capable of doing it. Do you believe you're capable of doing it? Because you have to believe you're capable of it before it's ever going to happen. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It's going to be freaking hard, right? It's easy to write it. It's easy to say it. But now to do the actions to get you there, that's going to be the hard work. But then when you are on the cover of Oprah magazine, girl, bask in your glory. You know how good that would feel to achieve some kind of dream like that? every single day, every hard work would have been worth it. Absolutely. Just something to think about. We got to believe it, you guys. We got to believe we deserve to achieve these things. That's the only way they're ever going to come true. Okay? Believe in yourself first. First. Believe in yourself before anybody else. Don't let anybody else, no one else needs to believe in you. Okay? You need to believe in you before anybody else will believe in you too. Okay? Lead from the front. Doesn't mean you have to know all the answers. That doesn't mean you have to have it all perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail. You're going to make the wrong decisions along the way. That's totally fine. That's part of the process. Okay? So going for our dreams and goals is going to be really hard because we're going to run into a lot of roadblocks and barriers and things that are going to try and deter us. Shiny objects are going to be like, no, you don't want that goal. You want this. You want this. And you're going to be like, no, I don't. No, I don't. I'm focused. I'm focused. You know? And I think this essential list is really going to help us focus on our dreams and goals. So maybe I need to look at my dreams and goals and say, okay, if I want to get here, essentially, what do I need to do? You know? Maybe we can do that. We can look backwards and say, okay, if these are my dreams and goals, what would I need to do every single day to get to that? Maybe that's something I can ask myself to kind of help create my essential list. Just something to think about. I don't have all the answers. I'm just helping us work through it, okay? That's it. That's all we got. We're going to work through this together, ladies. I can feel it. Oh, goodness. Alrighty, ladies. I'm going to let you guys go with wheels turning. I know. I'm leaving you guys like you're standing on a cliff and your arms are like shaking. You're like, what? She's just going to leave us here? Yep. Nice. All right. So go find 5 essential things that you need in your life every day or every week in order to create a whole life. Okay? Might need to go back and listen to the video part. That might help. Yeah, let's all take a picture. I know I should have grabbed it really early when a couple of the other girls were on. Okay. Oh, that's me. Are you going to be in it? Okay. Okay, show your lipstick. That's cute. Oh, wait, it says that shot may have been blurry. Oh, no, we're good. It's not blurry. Probably just because it's of my screen. All right, ladies, I hope you have a fantastic day. Happy Monday. Go make awesome decisions. Yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? All right. Bye. You're funny, dude.